Alien is a movie about a deep space mining crew who answer a mysterious signal and end up trapped with a predator that kills silently, evolves rapidly, and can't be stopped. Coincidentally, this is exactly what happens when you watch one Jordan Peterson clip and the algorithm starts feeding you knives, kettlebells, and hair growth supplements. I'm Bobby Reelz from the Movie Crashers, and this is How to Beat the Bald, Wet, Jacked Parasite from Alien in less than 10 minutes. The movie opens with a massive cargo spaceship on its way to Earth. Inside, the crew wakes up from hypersleep, groggy, underpaid, and instantly annoyed. It turns out the main computer woke them up too early because it received some unknown distress signal. The most vocal are Parker and Brett, the ship's mechanics, proud laborers, and the last honest men in the galaxy. They don't care what alien signal they intercepted, they just want to know one thing. Are they getting paid extra for this detour? Which is reasonable. But the spineless captain, sucking up to his corporate overlords, dodges the question like a landlord in a group chat titled Black Mold Update. Ripley, third in command, and first in line to kiss the capitalist boot, thanks them for raising a concern. And Ash, the apparatchik science officer, pulls out the microprint from their contract and reminds them that if they don't do what they're told, they might not get paid at all. So, the crew swallows their dignity, prepares to die for the stockholders, and lands on a cold, wind-blasted moon that looks like an OSHA violation with atmosphere. All because if you don't want to get sent on unpaid deadly missions, you should form a union. Before you even brush your teeth in hyperspace, you gather the crew, draft demands, and lock down the bridge until someone acknowledges your value. You elect a rep, probably Parker. You duct tape a manifesto to the coffee machine. You rename the ship Solidarity 1. And the second Ash opens his mouth to quote the contract, you remind him that unless corporate sends backup with a bonus check and a rescue plan, this crew isn't lifting a single boot off the floor because mystery signals don't kill people. Executives with vague policies do. Anyway, eventually, the crew finds a massive alien ship, abandoned, ominous, and somehow still less creepy than Ash. Inside, one of the dudes stumbles into a chamber full of leathery eggs that look like they were laid by a Kentucky chicken after she was fried. He leans in for a closer look because this man has never once heard of social distancing and gets a face full of squishy alien spider. Now he's unconscious. And there's a parasite stuck to his face like a hip tattoo to a girl who will never have a husband. Ripley sees what's happening and does what a Communist Party official did when a Chernobyl scientist said they should warn the public. Locks the door, as per the protocol. But Ash, the ship's human spreadsheet, overrides her and lets them in. They try to cut it off, but the creature refuses to detach. It's acid-blooded and vaguely sensual. So, naturally, after one failed try, they just leave it on the guy's face to steep a little. And then just as mysteriously, it comes off and dies. The dude wakes up like nothing happened, cheerful and hungry. So, everyone decides this is probably fine. They all sit down for one last dinner before heading back into cryo-sleep. And that's when the dude starts coughing, then choking, then violently birthing a nightmare on the dinner table. A snarling space parasite that scurries off into the shadows while the crew just stands there, realizing this junior hire is about to tank the whole sprint cycle. All because in a situation as extreme as a space spider sticking to your colleague's face, you don't follow protocol. You try one of those grandpa's survival tips you always ignored, which is piss on it. Not out of disrespect, not out of dominance, but because somewhere deep in humanity's collective survival brain, we know that urine cures everything. Jellyfish sting, pee on it, tick, pee on it, alien face crab with a reproductive agenda. How can we possibly not pee on it? You take turns as a team. That's what solidarity looks like. And worst case scenario, it doesn't work. Best case scenario, the parasite lets go and files for disability. Anyhow, after that dude's impromptu exit interview, the crew calls a meeting to brainstorm how to find the baby alien. Ash says the creature is small, predictable, probably scared, like a possum. Or the president of France trying to make eye contact with his wife. Ripley says, maybe stop listening to the guy who let it on board. The untrustworthy captain says they'll find it. The plan is to walk through a maze of vents and dripping steel with no armor, no weapons, and a giant net. Because we don't want to kill the thing that killed our friend just a minute ago. Meanwhile, the alien has grown into a full-size nightmare. Sleek, silent, and built like a sex toy, designed by Balenciaga's shyest department on their last day before layoffs. They go looking. Someone hears a noise behind some containers. They creep forward, nets raised, and out pop A very pissed off orange cat. Yeah, they brought a cat into space. His name is Jonesy. He contributes nothing. He saves no one. And since there wasn't a cryopod for him, if the crew didn't wake up, he was meant to die in loneliness. Being probably angry about that, the cat escapes too. Brett, the ship's permanently moist mechanic, runs after him alone. He hears a noise. He finds goo, he finds chains, he finds Jonesy, just sitting there, blinking slowly like Mr. Beast, watching the villagers drink from the wrong well. And then Brett looks up, and the next thing we know, he's gone. All because if you really want to find a lethal alien hiding on your ship, you don't send 3 guys with a net. You treat it like a visa violation in East LA. You lock down the ship. You bring heat sensors, drones, body armor, dogs, and at least one guy with wraparound sunglasses who says, "Copy that," into his wrist. And what do you do when you found the alien? You wait. You let it nest. You let it have children. You wait until those children grow up, get comfortable, graduate from the ventilation system, and start making friends with the crew. And only then do you crash through the mess hall at 0400 and drag their mother away in front of them, mid-breakfast. So, after Brett gets turned into a meat mist, the crew does what all high-functioning professionals do after a violent workplace death. They hold another meeting. Everyone's tense. Ripley's connecting dots so fast, she might accidentally reinvent string theory. Parker's one bad suggestion away from taking hostages. And Ash is calmly watching the chaos like he's funded by APAC. And Dallas, the captain, decides it's time to do something rational. So naturally, he grabs a flamethrower, crawls into the walls alone, and tells the others to track the alien from the monitor room. He's breathing heavy, flashlight, flickering, flamethrower erect, and the crew's attentively watching a blip move closer on the monitor, like an ADHDer tracking an Amazon delivery that's 22 stops away. And just when Dallas thinks he's clear, he turns, light hits teeth, and he disappears mid-scream, like a Christopher Nolan fan who realized the Odyssey is going to be just as mid as Oppenheimer. All because if you've got a disgusting crawling death machine in your vents, you don't go kill it yourself. You do what my dad did to me and my late little brother. You send a kid to do it. First, gather the crew and hold a vote. Not to decide who's most qualified, but who's the youngest, the smallest, the one with the most flexible bones and the least bargaining power. Bonus points if, like my little brother, they still think death is reversible. You hand them a flamethrower and say, "I didn't want you to go. It's all your mom." But if no one steps forward, that's when you look at the cat. Jonesy, already in the vents, no family, no pension, legally property, potentially gullible. So strap a lighter to his back, tape a knife to his tail, whisper something about honor, and launch Jonesy into the ductwork like a fuzzy little martyr. That's good delegation. But after Dallas gets air vented into the afterlife, the crew officially runs out of optimism. So Ripley steps up and decides to do the one thing no one's tried yet. Ask the ship's supercomputer what the hell is going on. She plugs in, types in the secret menu, and finds out the truth. The company wants the alien. They don't care about the crew. Ripley confronts Ash, the science guy, but he short circuits and starts sweating milk. Then he tries to shut her up forever with a rolled up magazine, like he's the New York Times chief editor, and someone just asked why they had to promote the Iraq War. Luckily, mechanic number 2 and Ellen Disposables show up and beat him down with space shovels until his head pops off. And that's when Ripley makes her first truly responsible decision as the ship's new captain. She decides to blow up the ship, and just pray they all make it to the escape pod in time. While the real solution is to go back to sleep. Because when I get overwhelmed, I take a quick nap. 2 hours, maybe 14. And guess what? This and a couple dozen shots of bourbon always helps. Don't fight, don't scream. Don't try to blow up the ship like you're auditioning for Titanic 2. Rose's second husband. Just climb into your cryopod and let the next shift clock in to deal with your legacy. Because here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud, the alien isn't even hunting them. It doesn't chase. It doesn't stalk. It just reacts when someone shows up with a net and bad aura. So why not hit sleepy time? Anyhow, with the android dead and the company exposed, Ripley sets the ship to self-unaliving. But before she can leave, the remaining crew decides it's the perfect time to gather coolant. Apparently, the escape shuttle needs it to keep the air breathable. Except when they go do that, the alien shows up and turns them into floor decor. So Ripley runs to the escape pod without the coolant she needed so desperately. But she does grab Jonesy, because priorities. The ship starts counting down like a really stressful microwave. Ripley slams the launch button and rockets away just as the ship explodes like a gender reveal party hosted by SpaceX. Game over, right? Wrong. The alien hitched a ride. It's curled up in a shadowy crevice, like it's doing creature yoga and waiting for dessert. Ripley panicked, suits up, straps in, and risks the cat's life by opening the airlock and blasting the alien into space. Then she harpoons it, just to make sure it can't file a complaint. But what Ripley really should have been thinking about, after blowing up a multi-billion-dollar ship and killing her entire team, was how to still get them bonuses. Because let's be honest, that cargo had value. That alien was an asset. And those deaths, technically, that's 6 fewer mouths. But corporate is still going to want an explanation. All she had to do was fabricate evidence, draft a heroic narrative, and tell the company this was the worst managed mission in history until I stepped up. I tried to save the alien. But the deranged crew got really scared and blew up the ship. What an embarrassment, really. But the captain's last words were, "Tell my wife, you deserve compensation, Ripley."